Hello, and welcome to the Quarterly Romance Book Club. I am one of your hosts, Desirai from LibriLabra. You are on my channel, so you already know that. But we also have Chloe from Brunette Bibliophile. And we decided to start this because we love reading romance, contemporary romance, and rom-coms. And I know there are times that I have just been like, you read a lot of science fiction, you read a lot of fantasy, and like I always go back to romance. It's just like a palate cleanser. It's just like a reset for my mind, for my spirit, for my soul. And we weren't sure that we could squeeze in a romance every month, but we felt like we could do it quarterly. So here we are. Our first book that we have decided to go with is Shipped by Angie Hockman. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I think we can start with, like our first impressions. And then after that, we will be jumping into spoilers. So if you haven't read it, definitely go do that and then come back and check this out. We will be, like I said, doing this quarterly. And by the end of our discussion, I will let you know what the next book will be for the second quarter of the year. So, Chloe, what would you say your initial thoughts are? Or let's describe the book, I guess.
You want to read it like a synopsis?
Yeah, I have it pulled up. So basically It was described as the Unhoneymooners meets the Hating Game. And, there is like this workplace thing that's going on, and she has a little bit of a rivalry with one of her coworkers. She's upset because she thinks he took credit for something that she did. And there's this promotion that's happening, and they're both kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They both want it. And their boss tells them to go take a trip to the Galapagos Islands and kind of do some brainstorming and to provide a proposal to figure out, who's going to get the promotion. And so that's basically the summary of the book. It's also described as like witty and clever and swoon-worthy. And I'm glad they mentioned workaholic because she was definitely that. And I feel like for me, that was a lot more of the book, was just her focus on her job in this promotion than necessarily the romance. What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, when it was in the beginning, when it was doing like the whole workplace romance thing, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a Hating Game, like with vacation vibes. I'm like, this is perfect. And I know I'd like heard, I think you told me sometime last year that like you thought I would like this book, or that we would like it. And I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars, but I think that there were a lot of other elements that kind of took the forefront ahead of the romance. And I don't know, I have some thoughts, and I don't know, it was okay. It was good. I enjoyed it, but it's not like an all-time favorite romance. I might forget it this time next year. Who knows?
Yeah, being compared to the Hating Game, which is like definitely a favorite and a 5-star for me, I feel like this felt a little bit short of that, though I can see why someone would compare them, because they definitely have similarities, but I don't know if they're necessarily on the same level. Although I enjoyed the Unhoneymooners, and that I gave 4 stars too, so I feel like it's closer to that than...
it's been a really long time since I read the Unhoneymooners. I feel like I need to reread it. It's not super fresh in my mind.
Yeah, I hear you. But so I guess at this point we can kind of just jump into spoilers. Did this take, like, what were you expecting? Like, were you kind of expecting it to be more of a rivalry, or like, because the Hating Game is so interesting. I'm just like, there was definitely some hate going on there, but I feel like it got diffused pretty quickly.
Yeah, I kind of, actually, I'm pretty sure I went into this book blind. What I tend to do is right before I start a book, I like quickly read like a very short synopsis before I start reading a book, so I at least know what I'm up against. So I didn't really know about the like whole enemies to lovers thing until I was reading it, and that, you know, when it was the whole, I didn't understand that he was a remote worker until it said he lived in Michigan.
Right.
So I was like, oh, there's gonna be like some workplace romance vibes. Like I'm gonna dig it. It's gonna be like the hating game, and it wasn't. Although I liked the cruise ship idea because that seemed very fresh. I can't think of another book, romance book, that's on a cruise ship. So I liked that. But I agree that the enemies aspect kind of fizzled out very early on in the book to be like acquaintances, but we're battling for the same job.
Yeah, like I feel like it definitely started to fizzle out even before they were supposed to go on this trip, because as she was like sending him angry emails, seemed like they were being a little flirty, and she was even like, hold on a second, are we flirting right now? Like, what is happening?
Trying to tweet out our link real quick, so I keep looking down. Okay, there we go.
And there were just a lot more elements involved. Like, I feel like the Galapagos Island was kind of a character in and of itself. Because there was so much focus on the creatures on the island and the tourism aspect and the different things that they were doing while they were out there. And so that was really highlighted in the story. And I don't know if you read like the author's note, but she breaks that down and talks a lot about that and kind of mentions where her inspiration came from and why she wrote this book and stuff like that.
I think I read like the beginning of the author's note, but I don't remember finishing it. Can't remember.
Yeah, she said she visited the Galapagos Islands herself, and she was just talking about the animals that are native to there and which parts of her book were inspired by other places and which were like really accurate. And she talked about like her philanthropic interests and that she was hoping this book would like inspire people in a philanthropic way. So it kind of makes sense that the romance was secondary, while the tourism aspect and her work and the inspiration that she ends up finding on this trip, it makes sense why that was kind of like more of the book.
Yeah, because I felt like, I don't know, this, while it's a romance, like I didn't find myself rooting for the couple during this, just because like it wasn't like such a forefront. So like, yeah, it was happening, and yeah, there were moments where I was like, oh, they're so cute, but like it wasn't really a thing. It was more like I was angry at Henley because she wouldn't like get out of this work bubble and go like live her life out on this island. Like she got a free cruise for 2 weeks. And all she wanted to do was like sit and work. And then Gustavo was like, no, go on the hike. Like, yeah, get your ass out and go on the hike.
What did you think of Graham as a love interest? Like, I know you said you weren't really rooting for them as a couple, but like,
I like him as a character because I think mostly he was, I'm going to use this term loosely, I think he was misunderstood because the anger that Henley had towards him was not justified. Like, I understand why she thought it was justified, but it wasn't justified. It was just it was a complete misunderstanding. So I don't know. I thought he could be like a little cinnamon roll every now and then, but other than that, like I wasn't wowed with everything. Although I didn't know this until I looked at the back of the book. Did you see how his name is spelled?
I did, because I was reading the ebook alongside it. So yeah,
it's so weird.
There's a lot of letters in there.
Yeah, a lot of unnecessary letters.
But what did you think about her obsessing, about his intentions? because I feel like since the first moment, he was kind of like, why do you hate me so much? Like, I didn't do anything to you. Like, what is your problem? And he just seemed very genuine, but she was just like, is he tricking me? Is he trying to steal this promotion? Like, what is going on? Like, she was just very distrustful of him. Do you think that was justified? Or do you think she was just I
think she just needed to like chill out. Like, I understood why she was like, she thought that he had taken credit for whatever went viral. It was a misunderstanding. But I think she was like very defensive like the entire time because she didn't know, like, this was the first time seeing him in person and like interacting with him in person. So she didn't know how to react. And she just needed to like take a chill pill and like realize that like not everybody is out to get you in life. Like, just calm down and like, I don't know. Like, I understand like the stress that she had for like needing this promotion and why she wanted it, but ultimately it was like, girl, do you even like your job? like your boss is an ass and you don't, and like you're constantly undermined. Like, what's the point? That's how I would feel. What's the point?
Well, I mean, you know, in that respect, I think it's just because she was directing all that negative energy towards Graham, you know, like she felt like everything was his fault. I wasn't sure where things were going to go with the sister. Like, even her being introduced and then going on the trip, I was like, and then she kept talking about how Graham was hot, and I was like, like, I was kind of really frustrated with the sister for a while, to be honest. I was like, what is she doing? Like, why is she?
First of all, why do these two sisters have such weird names? You have Henley, and then you have Walsh. Walsh is...
Did they explain that one?
I don't remember. Because
I know they explained Henley's name.
I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, that's a girl's name or oh, that's a boy's name. But I was watching Once Upon a Time, like on my rewatch, and there's a very minor character who shows up whose name is Walsh, and he is a middle-aged man. He's a middle-aged man, not like a 20-something girl. So I was like, okay, these are some weird names, but whatever. And as far as her intentions, like, I thought well, okay, let me kind of go farther down into the book. So it ended up being revealed that she was trying to like escape an abusive relationship. So at that point, I understood like why she was like lost and not knowing what to do. But in the beginning, I was like, this girl needs to figure out what her life is. I mean, not everybody knows what their life is, but like at least find something and stick to it for a bit instead of just like running away. But then the reasons for her running away were valid.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't sure if they were going to reveal that she had like ADHD or something, because they kept hinting at the fact that like she couldn't hold down a job, and so I wasn't sure exactly where that was going. But I was definitely really frustrated as Henley was trying to overhear the conversation when they were like in the boats watching the flamingos or whatever, and Walsh said to Graham, because they were in a different boat, she was just like, I think she basically said, we don't have to tell Henley. Henley doesn't have to know, something like that. And I was like, wow. Like,
can I just say, like, that scene and like Henley falling into the water and all this, and then after they were back on the cruise ship and Gustavo's like, I'm gonna have to tell James about this. Why? Why do you have to tell him anything? Like, there were some parts where I thought Gustavo was really great and I liked him as a side character, but then there was times like this where he's like, well, I have to report everything to James. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, if she started choking on a piece of food, would you have to report that to James because she like horrified the guests? Like, no. She fell out of the damn boat. It happened, okay? Like, get over it.
And then with the passenger, Nikolai,
Oh my God.
I'm
He annoyed
actually
me.
yeah, I wasn't sure where that was going to go either, and he was definitely annoying in the beginning. I like the way that ended up, though. I think that like it just became really, really nice. His storyline, his subplot, or whatever. But he was just relentless in regards to like hitting on her, and Graham kept stepping in. He just wasn't getting the hint.
This is like a perfect case of where it's like, this is what you should not do. Like, no means no. Leave her alone.
But I thought for sure, I was like, she's going to get busted talking to him in her room in a robe, and Gustavo was going to rat her out for like fraternizing with the passengers.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was like way too much. I was like, something's got to give. Like, somebody's going to have to know that Graham is in there or what. Because now, here's the thing that I didn't understand. There's nothing against having staff relationship with other staff member. But like, is it because, like, what if you worked in the same office and somebody pulled rank? Like, what if somebody had rank? Then what? Like, that sounds like something that's going to screw somebody over.
Yeah, I think there were concerns about that. That's kind of why she didn't want to get into anything before they got promoted, because eventually somebody would be above the other, and then that would get super messy. But I mean, I've never had any kind of like workplace romance, and for the most part, I probably wouldn't, because it sounds like it would just get super messy. But I know a lot of people that do, so I don't know how they deal with those kinds of things.
Here's the thing. I do, but to be fair, I met him before. We worked for the same, I'm not going to say company because it's not a company, but the same system. But the way they handle it is we just can't work in the same location. So we don't even work in the same region, technically. So that's how they handle it. So this sounds like it's messy. This policy is a bit weird. Just saying.
And I don't know.
Can I just say that I don't know if this happened to you, but I found that the beginning of this book was slow. Like, I was bored.
When you say the beginning, like from where to where?
Like, until they got on the cruise ship.
I mean, they were definitely, the author was doing some like explaining her name, explaining where she works, and her issues with this one person. But I thought it started to get interesting as soon as they introduced Graham and their messages were going back and forth, because she was very emotional about speaking to him and telling him to make the posts and whatnot, and just describing why she was so upset.
Like an ass.
Yeah. I mean, even his explanation was like, I don't know if I'd buy that.
He's like,
okay, you don't have enough time to like.
No, you know what was real Jack though is when James like brought her in to the meeting, like it was supposed to be just the two of them, and then he was on like speakerphone.
The speakerphone.
Yeah. Oh my God, I was mad. I would have been pissed.
But like, he later, Graham later explains how much she means to him and why. And I guess I found that hard to digest with those very unwordy email exchanges. Like, if he really liked her that much, like he wasn't doing much to demonstrate that.
Yeah, that was one of the notes that I wrote down is like I like Graham, but there wasn't really much chemistry between the two of them.
But he's hot, and he's like 6 foot something. I'm just saying that that's what they were using to sell him. How hot he was.
No sell. They're like, he's hot and he's sensitive because his mom died, but it's not good enough. Like, it was a good book. I liked the book, but now that we're really dissecting it, I'm angry.
I was gonna text you at some point, and I was gonna be like, "Is there any spice in this?" Like,
oh yeah. Speaking of that, there's next to none.
Yeah,
like it started, and then it stopped, and then started again, and then it stopped, and then I never got that.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was because I was listening to it a little bit sped up or what, but I feel like I remember it happening, but it must have been like somewhat fade to black because I don't remember the details of it.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what made me feel like the romance was secondary. Like, yeah, they're obviously attracted to each other. They were getting to know each other. I liked that. I liked the questions they asked each other. I wish there had been a little more tension, especially since like things were really heating up in the cabin, and that's when all the interruptions came.
Exactly. This is kind of jumping ahead a little bit to the end of the book, but I found that the ending was unrealistic.
Which part? Like, which part was the most unrealistic to you?
Okay, so James was stealing all her work and all that. Great, got that. They outed him to Martin, whoever the head
CEO.
Head honcho is. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. The unrealistic part where they were like, "Do you want a seat in the executives?" Like, that was the most unrealistic part. I feel like if in reality, if somebody like outed somebody for stealing their work, the other person would there'd be consequences. In this case, he was fired, but there would be consequences, and then it'd be like, "Thanks," and then here's a coupon for cheesy bread, and then that's it. Let's be honest.
I mean, it did open up a spot on their board. I don't know. Her idea was pretty impressive, especially since like the CEO said that his family was pretty philanthropic anyway. And so she really, made some good, strong connections there.
That's speaking of the idea that she had, that's another unrealistic thing. There's no way you can just call up your boss on a cruise ship and be like, "Hey, I want to do this," and then like 2 hours later be like, "Okay." There's no way. Sorry, I'm like nitpicking this like to shreds, but like I have opinions.
I didn't realize that James was such a jerk until after she presented that idea to him.
Seriously? I realized he was a jerk right at the beginning where he's like, "Did you get all that, Graham?" And he's on speakerphone.
Well, I know, but he was really like just super douchey when it came to listening to her proposal and immediately just disregarding it and giving the promotion to Graham anyway.
Misogynistic. Yes. He's like, "You didn't understand the assignment. Graham, congratulations." Like, that was it.
And he was like, "It's my team. It's, they're all my ideas. I mean, our ideas."
And they're like, "No, you don't."
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that twist for whoever it was. I think it was like the secretary or something, to find out that he had been stealing other people's work and removing their names. And
yeah, I don't understand how she figured that out.
She said something about they did explain how she figured it out. I don't remember exactly how it was worded though.
I didn't get it, but
I think it was like some kind of like revision history or something.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Maybe they did say that they were like Google Docs. I feel like they might have.
That makes sense, yeah.
What do you think about Graham not accepting the position?
I kind of thought that it was going to end up like something like the hating game, where it's like, I got a new job somewhere else. And what? Oh, he didn't he say he was interviewing somewhere else too? Like that's what he was in town for. Okay, see, so I think that this was inspired by other books. I mean, nothing's original now, but still, you picking up what I'm putting down here. I want to see actually if this author has anything else coming out, because I feel like I would read it. I wouldn't buy it, but I would read it from the library.
Let me see if she has. I think I was reading that this was a debut, so.
Yeah, and it came out last year. Oh, no, she does, because I remember seeing this cover. This book actually did sound interesting, the new one that she has coming out.
Dream On.
Yeah.
I have not heard of it, but I'm curious.
I feel like I just saw it, like, recently.
Interesting. Yeah, I would check that out.
When does this come out? Let's see. When does it come out, though? It just says published 2022 for me.
Yeah, it doesn't say. Maybe they don't have like a solid date yet.
Oh, nope, I found it. It's in the other editions. It's July 5th.
Okay.
Okay. So, excuse me.
I mean, what did you think
I'll be checking it out.
The writing?
I thought it was fine. I don't really nitpick the writing unless it's like really bad. It was just like the characterization for me with this one who won't stop working and this guy who has nothing going for him except that he's hot, apparently. I will say, though, I think the subplot with Graham and like his mom passing away, I feel like that kind of came out of nowhere. Like, they needed him to be sensitive.
I didn't feel like that, because when she got drunk and she like accidentally FaceTimed him, she was like, "Where are you?" And then she was like, "Are you in a cemetery?" And immediately that's what I thought, because she was saying that he was like scruffy looking. Like, I felt like there was things that led me to believe, okay, something serious has happened in his life. Like, I thought maybe he just got divorced, or he just broke up with his girlfriend, or like, but then the cemetery made me feel like he lost somebody that was important to him that maybe he was taking care of. So I was like, that's probably his mom. You know, I wouldn't have guessed why, but like, I feel like there was little hints in there that kind of led me to believe that was something serious going on with him.
You see, I did not remember that when she had FaceTime, he had been in a cemetery until later on, where it was like, oh, when you FaceTime me and I was in the cemetery. Like, I forgot that point.
Like, she asked him and he was like, he said something about it being a good place to walk his dog, which was kind of a weird response, but like, it seemed like he was covering for something in that moment. I thought, and then the fact that she couldn't find him on any social media.
Oh yeah.
Not that people.
I mean, that's not really weird nowadays.
Yeah, but he's like a social media person. Like, that's what his job is. It's just hard to that for me. It's hard to believe that someone who like.
Unless
wants
he's really
a job
locked
as
down. Yeah.
But because then when he was on the trip, he started posting pictures, and like everybody was like giving him hard eyes and being like, "Are you single?" And so I started thinking at that point, maybe he just didn't like the attention he was getting on social media for being attractive, and he just decided to shut it all down.
Yeah. Or he's so savvy with social media that he had his privacy settings like locked down. You could never find them.
As far as like the stuff that was going on with Walsh, like that seemed really heavy to kind of bring into the book.
Yeah.
especially like the way there was a specific chapter where they were kind of talking about like how he had messaged her and the things he had said. Like she said the reasoning for her leaving was because she got a haircut and he threw like a plate at her or something.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty heavy.
It was like a very dark element brought into like an overall light book.
Yeah.
And then I remember like throughout the book, Walsh would be like talking to I don't know why the contact was bad news bears. Like that's just, it was weird. But I never like thought much of it. Like I was a little curious when it would be brought up, but then it would like go away and I'd forget about it until it came back up again. But yeah, it ended up being like way heavier than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it wasn't just like he was just a shithead. Like they very, very clearly painted him as a narcissist in that relationship. But I like how willing, I guess, Henley was to help her sister out and to kind of make adjustments to incorporate her into things without, like, in a loving way, without necessarily being too caretaker-ish. You know, like she still expected her sister to have a job and kind of get her shit together, but was still willing to be there for her. But back to like the Russian subplot.
And the chiropractor and all that.
Yeah, like I don't know what to say that like he was gonna get married and he broke it off and then decided that he wanted to hook up with somebody that looked like the girl he broke it off with. Like he was just like, oh, I thought maybe if we hooked up I could get over her. That doesn't really make sense, but okay. Are you still there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh no, she was still there, but I just lost her. Hopefully she can pop back in. Let me let her know that she dropped. All right, she'll be back. She'll be back. All right, there you go.
Okay. Sorry, just like crashed all of a sudden. I like was very confused when he was like, she's too good for me, so I broke it off. And I'm like, but she accepted it. Like she said yes to marrying you, so why
right
dumb? Like wait, where does this make any sense? Doesn't make any sense.
But I absolutely loved that he later took the time to write like a 3-page letter to the company CEO, like singing her praises.
I think he felt bad for harassing her the whole time. Maybe that's what happened. He felt bad for harassing her, but he also went and got back together with what's her name?
Well, I think she gave him some pretty solid advice.
Yeah. It still doesn't make sense why he was just like, she's too good for me. I can't. This was supposed to be my honeymoon, but here I am with my patient. Which
that made no sense to me.
Doesn't that cross some like sort of boundaries?
What was the patient's name?
I think it was like Dave or something like that.
I don't remember the patient's name. I feel like
he didn't come up very often.
Yeah.
Dave.
You know, you and I both went on cruises like relatively around the same time. But this cruise is described as being like a lot smaller than like the cruises we went on. And I wonder what that would be like, because I imagine, you know, with such few people, it would be easier to kind of make connections with the people you eat dinner with, or like whatever the case is, and you'd kind of make friends on the cruise, kind of like I wouldn't say they were all friends, but you know, they were definitely coming across each other multiple times, and yeah, acquaintances.
You know, I didn't understand. This doesn't sound like a cruise I would want to go on, because there was one time where like the announcement was over the intercom, and Gustavo was like, "If you didn't get breakfast, you missed it." And I'm like, excuse me, no. The best cruises have the 24-hour
like
section. Like, if you missed breakfast, no, there's no. If you didn't get breakfast, you missed it. There is feed me.
I did remember. Go ahead.
There was a lot of like, you have to fly to like Ecuador or wherever, I don't know where, to get to this boat, and then you sailed to the Galapagos. But there was a lot of times where it felt like this boat was not moving. So I'm like, what kind of shit? It's just docked. It's just docked and you're sleeping there.
I did like just the descriptions of the scenery and kind of the activities that they were doing, though that 3-hour hike definitely sounded intense and not something that I would sign up for. But a
lot of outdoor activities.
I was really worried that something bad was going to happen to her, especially when Walsh had kind of revealed that she almost drowned at one point.
Oh, when they were little. I forgot about that. See, that like only came up like one time, and then kind of hit the back burner and was never talked about again.
I think
they did like scuba diving.
Yeah, they did snorkeling. Yeah. And so I was just like really concerned, because I was like, they just brought off the fact that she almost like drowned and she has fears of water, and now she's going to go snorkeling. Like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like a terrible idea.
You know, I do like, though, this doesn't have to do with the snorkeling part, but, you know, I kind of like the idea of how, who was it? James was like, neither of you have been on one of our cruises, so we're going to send you on a cruise.
Would that be nice?
But here's the thing that irritated me. The thing that irritated me was at one point, they were talking about, she's like, I don't have enough time off for this. I'm like, they're sending you on this on purpose. Why do you have to use any time?
Time off, yeah.
Like, why? And if anything, you should be getting paid.
Yeah, with the amount that she thought about work.
I know. This is not like nearly the same thing, because there was one time when I was trying to find my first job, I interviewed at Chipotle. And I'd never had Chipotle before, like, ever. So the night before my interview, I told my mom, I was like, you know, we should probably get this. Like, we should probably eat it. So I know what I'm talking about. Which, I mean, what is there to talk about? It was just a burrito. But...
That's funny. But, you know, I don't know if it's the cover, like the illustration on the cover. It's not the colors, obviously. But, like... I was thinking it was going to have people we meet on vacation vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like kind of sort of similar in regards to didn't that main character also work for some kind of travel place? Or
she worked for a travel magazine. And they would send her on trips. Like they would,
to like blog about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, she would blog about it, and I think she would write an article about it or something like that.
I'm trying to ask myself, like, is Graham going to be memorable?
No. No. I'm answering the question for you. Because I've had plenty of rom-coms that have been like 5 stars, 4 stars, but they're not memorable. I could probably easily find one on my shelf right now. Like the Mia Sosa book is a perfect example. It was good when I read it. I gave it 5 stars. Do I remember a good chunk of it? No. I remember like the main like like the general gist of it, but that's about it.
That's interesting.
But it's true.
I mean, because I would like I would probably never put Josh from The Hating Game on like.
He's memorable.
It's like, he?
Of course he is.
Because I feel like, no, but I'm saying, I feel like Graham did a lot for her. Like,
Yeah.
he was very much a caretaker. You know, he was worried about her in the water. He decided to do that beginning snorkeling class because he wanted to make sure that she was safe.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to spend time with her. And then, you know, he told her to maintain her boundaries because she wasn't being treated right at work. Like, I felt like he was consistently looking out for her.
Well, see, remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about Layla. It was like 2 weeks ago, and you said you had rated it 4 stars, but you were going to bump it to 5 stars, and you said not all 5 stars are created equal. That's literally what this is right now, Desirai. That's because we both rated it 4 stars. And yes, we're talking about it in depth now, and it's good. But are you going to remember this book in a year? I'm not. Probably not. Especially because with the amount of romance that we read, like,
yeah.
Listen, there's only room for like a small handful of people, and right now it's Josh from The Hating Game, and it's Adam from Love Hypothesis.
I didn't even remember his name. You're talking about the Love Hypothesis. No, what was the name of the guy from People We Meet on Vacation?
Alex?
Oh,
Alex
okay.
and Poppy? Those two? Okay. Yeah, those two are important. And Beatrice, January, and Gus are important. Come on, Desirai.
Crap, there was something that I was going to say, and it just slipped my mind. That like it says it was funny, but I don't remember like too many funny parts, with the exception of like, you know, the silliness of her falling into the water. Like, I don't know. I wanted there to be maybe more snarky, snarky dialogue, like more wittiness, more banter between them. The only funny thing that's coming to mind right now is something that the Russian said. Nikolai said, hold on. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so I highlighted this. It says, he braces his forearm against the wall next to my door. Are you sure? I'm like vodka. It is, on first taste, not everyone's favorite, but after a few sips, you may find you like it.
I remember that. See, but I don't like vodka at all, so that it didn't affect me. I would have been like, get out of my way.
But I was like, dude, give up. Like, stop.
What if she just shut the door in his face? We're just like, okay, we're done here.
But she was like the meanest that she had been in that moment.
Yeah, because she was about to get some and then got interrupted. With this ding dong who won't leave her alone.
Oh my god. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything more to be said about this. I did enjoy it though.
Me too.
It definitely feels like a 4. I don't like that I was expecting more romance and I didn't get it. But I do like, you know, what she focused on and what she wrote about and how meaningful that was to the author. Yeah. And I think she did it in a really cool way. Like, I like how she brought her values to life in the story.
I feel like this is the most I've picked apart a book. Like, I feel like Kat, where I'm like angry at these different things. I enjoyed it. It was good. I give it 4 stars. I definitely will pick up from this author again, but it's probably not going to be like a book that I want to buy. I'm very glad that I didn't buy it and got it from the library instead because I was unsure. But yeah, overall it was good. I'll probably remember it for like the next couple of months and then it'll slowly disappear from my mind. yeah, that was good.
So like, I'm wondering if we should like give these books like some kind of a swoon rating, or we could probably call it something else, but outside of just the typical rating, maybe a heart flutter rating.
A 1.5. That's generous, I think, in my opinion.
Okay, that's interesting, because I think I would give it maybe at least a 3, because I really felt like Graham was a really cool dude and was misunderstood, and I think things could have been like really, really hot.
Here, I'll go for 2 only because there was no spice. And because she was too stuck up with her job.
All right, so there you have it. We both give it a 4, but as far as heartstrings go, I give it a 3. Chloe gives it a 2. And I guess we could talk a little bit about what we will be reading next quarter.
Yeah. I definitely know what we're reading. I don't know the date of the live show. It's on the Google Doc.
Okay. I will have to put that in like the description afterwards. I'll put the date of the live show.
Okay.
But
let me see if I can.
All right, if you're going to pull it up, then I'll just so we're going to be reading When You Get the Chance
Google, but...
by Emma Lord. And there's some musical theater involved in this, musical theater references, drama, deep family connections. So really quick, the synopsis.
It's a YA.
Says, yeah, it's a YA. So it says, nothing will get in the way of Millie Price's dream of becoming a Broadway star, not her lovable but super introverted dad who raised Millie alone since she was a baby, not her drama club rival Oliver, who was the very definition of simmering romantic tension, and not her Millie moods, the feelings of intense emotion that threaten to overwhelm. Millie needs an ally, and when an accidentally left open browser brings Millie to her dad's embarrassingly moody live journal from 2003, Millie knows just what to do, find her mom. But how can you find a new part of your life and expect it to fit into your old one without leaving any marks? And why is it that when you go looking for the past, it somehow keeps bringing you back to what you've had all along? So that sounds...
And I got the live show date too.
Okay.
It's going to be on Sunday, May 1st at 6 p.m.
Okay. So Sunday, May 1st at 6 p.m., we will be discussing, again, this Emma Lord book, When You Get the Chance. So anyway, if you popped in, I don't think we got any comments, but like if you popped in and watched for a few minutes, thank you. We appreciate it. And we hope to see you next time. So bye.